Have you ever been in the middle of a sentence, sharing an idea you truly care about, only to feel the air sucked out of the room as someone else talks right over you? It's a gut-wrenching feeling. It happens in high-stakes board meetings, at chaotic family dinners, and even in intimate conversations with those we love. And what do most of us do in that moment? We smile, we lower our eyes, and we whisper, "Sorry, go ahead." We think we are being polite. We think we are taking the high road. But to the Stoics, this wasn't politeness. It was a subtle form of disappearance. By yielding the floor, you are teaching the world exactly how much your voice is worth: nothing. Today, we are going to change that dynamic forever. We are not going to shout, and we certainly aren't going to get angry. Instead, we are going to borrow a page from the playbook of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus. We are going to look at 3 simple words that can silence a room, restore your dignity, and make you impossible to ignore. This is not about being loud, it is about being essential. As Seneca told Lucilius, brevity and calm in speech carry more force than the loudest cries of the crowd. In the modern world, power has shifted. It no longer rests in swords or shields, but in how you hold your ground in a conversation. If you cannot maintain attention in a meeting, you are ignored. If you cannot defend your words in a negotiation, you are dismissed. Most people give their power away because they are afraid of conflict. They fear that asserting themselves will make them look aggressive, but there is a massive difference between aggression and authority. Aggression is reactive, authority is grounded. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily to hold to what is essential. If you do not protect the essential parts of your speech, others will strip them away from you. So how do we reclaim that space without raising our voice? It starts with a single command.
The Stoics taught that the discipline of speech mirrors the discipline of thought. If your speech is scattered and apologetic, your mind is likely the same. But if your speech is deliberate, focused, and firm, your mind becomes a fortress. When you replace "sorry" with "listen, there's more," you stop asking for space and start embodying it. This isn't manipulation, it is integrity. It is living in a way that naturally commands respect without ever having to demand it. People follow those who know where they are going. When you speak with the authority of listen, the priority of important, and the urgency of now, you become the person people want to follow. So, here is my challenge to you. For the next 24 hours, ban the word "sorry" from your vocabulary unless you have actually harmed someone. If you are interrupted, pause, take a breath, look them in the eye, and say, "Listen, there's more." Watch how the room changes. Watch how you change. If you found value in this wisdom, share your experience in the comments below. Which of these words do you struggle with the most? Let's build a community of calm strength together. This is INVICTUS X. We build inner peace and unshakable wisdom every single day.
Word number 1. Listen. Why is the word "listen" so incredibly effective? It isn't magic, it's psychology. Psychologists call this an orienting signal. When you say the word "listen," the human brain involuntarily shifts gears. It stops processing background noise and focuses entirely on the source of the command. It signals that what is coming next is not just chatter, it is information vital for survival or success. Picture a chaotic conference room. Voices are overlapping, egos are clashing, and no one is making sense. You don't slam your fist on the table. You don't scream. You simply lean forward, make eye contact, and say in a low, steady tone, "Listen, here is what we need to focus on." The noise fades, the room resets. Epictetus,
the great Stoic teacher who was born a slave, used this constantly. When his students became distracted or restless, he wouldn't scold them. He would simply say, "Listen." He wasn't asking for permission to speak. He was declaring his presence. Martin Luther King Jr. used the same tactic. In his "I Have a Dream" speech, he frequently used the phrase, "Now listen," to draw thousands of people into the singular moment to focus. Listen is not a plea, it is an anchor.
Word 2, important. Getting attention is step 1, but keeping it is step 2. Attention is a fleeting resource. If you don't attach it to something meaningful, it evaporates. Interruptions often happen because the interrupter believes their thought is more valuable than yours. They are subconsciously ranking the hierarchy of the conversation, and you are losing. You need to shatter that hierarchy. You do that with the word important. The human mind is wired to prioritize things labeled as important. It is a survival mechanism. When you label a thought as important, you elevate it above the noise. Imagine you are explaining a complex strategy to your team, and a colleague cuts in with a minor detail. Instead of retreating, you pause them and say, "The important point is this." Instantly, the energy shifts. You have just framed their interruption as trivial and your continuation as vital. You aren't competing for attention anymore. You are defining where attention belongs. Marcus Aurelius, surrounded by generals and politicians constantly vying for his favor, would cut through the babble by saying, "The important matter is the discipline of the soldiers." Just like that, the trivial arguments ceased.
Word 3, now. You have their attention. You have defined the priority. Now you need to lock them into the present moment. The third word is now. Seneca wrote that life is divided into 3 parts: what was, what is, and what will be. We suffer because we obsess over the past or worry about the future. The only thing we truly own is the present. The word now forces the listener into that ownership. When someone tries to derail you with what ifs or maybe laters, you respond, "Now is the moment we need to solve this. Now, let me finish this point." It brings the wandering mind back to the immediate reality. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, reminded his students, "Now is the time to practice philosophy, not tomorrow." Leaders don't talk in vague timelines. They don't say soon, they say now.
There is a fourth word, however, that destroys everything we have just built. It is the most dangerous word in the English language for anyone seeking respect. Sorry. Think about how often you say it. You are interrupted, and your automatic reflex is to whisper, "Sorry, go ahead." What are you actually apologizing for? For speaking? For taking up space? For having a thought? When you apologize for being interrupted, you are engaging in self-erasure. You are telling the other person, "Your interruption is valid, and my speech was an error." Epictetus warned, "No one can diminish you without your consent." Every time you say sorry after being cut off, you are signing the consent form. You are training people to treat you as background noise. This aligns with the concept of acting as a mouthpiece. When we lack authority or confidence, we often drift into ventriloquism, speaking only when permitted or echoing others, rather than owning our own words. To gain authority, we must stop apologizing for our own voice. So what do you do instead? If you can't say sorry and you don't want to be rude, what is the alternative? It is a simple phrase that combines the power of our key words. Listen, there's more. Imagine you are at dinner. You're telling a story and a friend jumps in to hijack the narrative. Instead of fading away, you look at them warmly but firmly and say, "Listen, there's more."
It is subtle, but it hits like a hammer. You are reminding them that your voice is not noise, it is substance. And humans are attracted to substance. We lean towards it.
Let's look at how this plays out in real life, because theory without practice is meaningless. Scenario A, the boardroom battle. Meet Sarah. Sarah is a brilliant strategist, but is soft-spoken. In meetings, her loud colleague, Mark, constantly talks over her. Old Sarah. Mark interrupts. Sarah looks down at her notebook. Sorry, Mark, go ahead. Mark dominates the meeting. Sarah leaves, frustrated. Stoic Sarah. Sarah is explaining the Q4 projections. Mark interrupts with a joke. Sarah stops. She doesn't smile. She waits for the laughter to die down. She looks at the CEO and says, "Listen, the important data is in the next slide. Now let's look at the margins." She used all three triggers. The room goes silent. Mark nods. Sarah finishes. She commands respect, not by fighting Mark, but by rendering his interruption irrelevant. Scenario B, the relationship reset. Consider Tom and his wife Linda. They love each other, but they bicker. Tom has a bad habit of finishing Linda's sentences. Old Linda. Tom, please let me. Sorry. She gives up. Resentment builds. Stoic Linda. Tom cuts in. Linda pauses. She places a hand on his arm, a physical anchor to the now. Listen, I haven't finished my thought, and it's important to me that you hear the rest. It's not an attack. It's an invitation to intimacy. It says, I am here. See me. This connects to the idea of present orientation. Effective communication isn't just about the words prepared beforehand. It's about staying present in the moment to handle objections or interruptions calmly. By anchoring yourself and your partner in the now, you turn a conflict into a connection.